When we first learned about the diagnosis, it was confirmed when Rachel was 8 months old, which meant Jessica was just a little over 2. And we knew that we were told she wouldn't live past the age of 4. And so my first, thinking was, how do we tell Jessica? What do we, how do we handle having this 2-year-old learn of her sister dying? And when you first get the diagnosis, all you hear is your child's going to die. And that's your everything is, when is she going to die? And you go through mourning the life that you thought you would have with this child, because obviously it's not going to be how you planned. And it's just your every waking moment is she going to die? When is she going to die? How long will Jessica, how old will Jessica be when she dies? We were granted a Make-A-Wish, and Rachel was 2 years old when we got the grant, the Make-A-Wish grant. And I thought, that's great, let's go to Disney World. We'll, but Jessica would have only been 3. And we thought, I want it to be so that she remembers what this trip is about. And so I asked if we could postpone it until Jessica was 6 years old. And they, of course, said yes. And during those years, I just kept praying that Rachel would live long enough so that we could go to Disney World with Jessica and have Rachel with us for this family outing and to remember it. And I just had to have faith that it will happen. And thankfully, we were able to go to Disney World. It rained every day, but but it was a great memory. And you remember it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We always made sure that Jessica was it was always open and honest. We answered Jessica's questions as she asked them. And we kept it as simple as that age appropriate can be. But we were counseled to just always speak the truth. And if the child's asking the question, it's because they need to know. So Jessica always has been fascinated with science and how things work. And when she was 4 years old, she asked, why does Rachel have Canavan disease and I don't, if it's inherited? And so I tried to simplify the answer, but that wasn't good enough for her. And so we explained about how the father and the mother each have 2 genes, and we give one of our genes to the baby, and one of our genes has a mutation that causes Canavan disease, and the other gene that we have does not have that mutation, so it's a typical gene. If Daddy and I gave you each of our gene that do not have the mutation, then you don't have the disease and you're not a carrier. If I gave you a mutated gene, but Daddy gave you one of his that's not mutated, you're a carrier, and vice versa. And in Rachel's case, I gave Rachel one of my mutated genes, and her father gave Rachel one of his mutated genes, and that's why she has Canavan disease. And she says, oh, I get it. And she got a pencil and paper, or a crayon and paper, and drew out a male stick figure and a female stick figure, and drew lines and wrote 2 genes under each individual, and had one indicate that it was a mutated gene and one not, and then 4 children underneath them, and was able to draw. And she totally put what all the books say of how it looks like in a picture form. And that's, one of the confirmations that I knew that she was a special kid. That she just, she always asks until she gets it. And so I knew a simple answer wouldn't work. And she understood that she's not going to have the disease and that she could be a carrier, may not be, but she knows she doesn't have the disease. Jessica's first day of kindergarten, we're all excited and brought Jessica in, and there were tables in the classroom with name tags, nameplates. And so we found Jessica's nameplate. We were one of the first people to arrive, so not everyone was there. And Jessica saw who she was sitting next to, girl I never knew, but apparently Jessica knew from preschool or wherever. And she said, I don't want to sit next to her. And that totally threw me because Jessica's always been friendly and welcoming, and it just totally, I could not believe I heard this, that she did not want to sit next to someone. So I said, well, maybe you should talk to the teacher and see what the teacher says. So the teacher said, fine, no problem. She switched her. And then when she came home from school, I said, why is it that you didn't want to sit next to this person? And she said, because she has a funny arm and she walks funny. And that, I was shocked, because here at home, she has such a disabled sister. I would think that she would be the most welcoming of someone who has a disability. And instead, she didn't want anything to do with it. She did not want to sit next to her. And I was heartbroken to hear that. And so I had spoken with her teacher later on, and I had spoken also with a child psychologist, only, in passing, I had mentioned it. And they both explained to me that at home, Rachel is part of Jessica's world at home, where being disabled is a constant. And that at school, it's Jessica's world. And that she wants to have a normal, typical world where there's no disability, no medical issues. And so she was taking control of the situation and making it happen because she knew this girl had a disability and she didn't want to be part of that. And that was actually, as heartbroken as I was that she felt that way and didn't want to sit next to this girl, it also kind of made me proud in the fact that she was able to acknowledge it and figure out how to remedy it. And so it kind of reassured me that she's going to be okay. A few years later, she ended up being very good friends with this girl. And she actually said to me, she's not so bad. She says, I don't know what my problem was when I was in kindergarten. So, she's learned to look past disabilities growing up, but at that time in kindergarten, that was an eye-opening experience to realize. One day we were picking Jessica up from school, and I had Rachel with me. So I pulled into the handicap spot and wheeled her out in the wheelchair to go in to get Jessica. And as I'm wheeling into the school, the kids were already assembled in the lobby area. And one of the kids says to Jessica, ew, is that your sister? And Jessica stood up proud as a peacock and said, yes, it is, and bumped me aside and took Rachel's wheelchair and started wheeling her around. And, there's another proud mom moment that she wasn't going to let this kid intimidate her or make her feel sorry. And she was, in fact, going to show that she's proud of her sister and it's not so bad. There are times having a teenager, typical teenager in the house, I often give Rachel a big kiss and say thank you for not talking back to me. At this age, I many times say Rachel's my easy child. You know, as having a teenager, yeah, it has its challenges if you're a regular, typical family, and then tenfold of the emotions that are going on in this family. It's definitely something I ponder. Wondering if what life would be like having Rachel having not had Canavan disease. We had planned on the kids being close in age, and I have a brother who is 20 months older than me. Their dad has a brother who's 15 months younger than him, and we, although growing up, we admit that we had our sibling arguments. As adults, it's awesome having. So I had planned on Jessica having someone close in age to play with. And there are many times that I wish that she had someone to go bike riding with or play kickball in the yard, do all the things that I did growing up. And being robbed of that makes me mad. I have a bumper sticker on my fridge that says, "I plan, God laughs." And, I've learned to deal with the fact that, my plan isn't necessarily the one that's going to happen, but make the best of it. I see Rachel's personality seems quite similar as my own. And so I think that Rachel would have been, I was a tomboy growing up, and I think Rachel would have been more like that. Whereas Jessica enjoys shopping and the girly stuff that I can't stand. And thinking about it, I wonder if there would be a lot of sibling rivalry because they would be so different from each other. But knowing Jessica's personality and the compassion she has, and I would think that if Rachel was like me, she also would be easy to get along with, that it wouldn't be so bad. But we often talk about if Rachel was typical, what things would be like. And then we laugh and giggle, and I go change her diaper or do whatever special needs things needs to be done. The greatest joy of having my girls is I think joy is too simple of a word. I'm in awe of both my kids, that they've taught me so many things I never would have envisioned you could learn in life as just me. I never thought my legacy would be being a good mom, but they make it easy to do. With Rachel, even though she can't talk and walk, and even though she has 24-hour-a-day needs of care, the things she has taught me and the joy she has brought not only to me and her sister, but to so many other people is amazing in the sense that, when you first look at her, they say what beautiful red hair she has. And when she was younger, she would laugh and smile all the time, and that always brightened people's day. I feel she has mastered what we all strive for in life, and that is to be loved and to enjoy life, to laugh and smile. And when she was younger, she did that all the time. Now that she's 16, Jessica reminds me that she is a teenager, and perhaps that's why she's not so smiley and happy at home, because most teenagers aren't. But when she's at school, I understand that she's laughing all day long, and she has a great time at school. So, the pride I have when I hear that that she enjoys school and that she brightens up all the other classmates up when she's there. And if she can't make it to school for a day, she's truly missed. That, that makes me proud. Makes me proud. And with Jessica, she's just an extraordinary kid. She has gone through so much of, she's learned about life that no child should ponder upon. And that is, she knew about Rachel's disability from the get-go. They're only 20 months apart, 18 months apart. And so they, having Rachel's need care for so much of her time, it's all Jessica knows. And so she has the attitude of, it is what it is. But she has learned to take the best of it and go and run with it. She's a senior in high school, and she wants to be a neuroscientist. She wants to understand the brain and to help cure diseases, not only Canavan disease, but other neurological diseases, so that other families don't have to go through what we've gone through. And the ambition that she has. You want me to talk about you? We're not done talking about you? I'm talking about Jessica now. Okay. I'll get back to you in a sec, okay? So, she and Jessica always has such compassion and just for so many situations. And she's so mature compared to kids her age that she has, I don't know, I'm in awe of her. She's just truly an amazing kid, and the joy she brings, just all the things that she says and does and desires, a mother couldn't be more proud of her. Joy, being a mom is a joyful thing. Being their mom is a joyful thing. Having such a rare disease, it's important to be in touch with other families going through this. And thankfully, through social media, we're able to get in touch with families, and we speak daily about the ins and outs of what life is like and the things we're dealing with, and fortunately, some funny things that happen we post just to make light of it. And sadly, this past week, we had lost one of the children with Canavan disease, and it was a shock because he died in his sleep. And he was healthy and happy, and the mom just posted a picture of him and her on the website just the day before, and of him being happy and smiling. And so it was a big shock. And I felt the need to tell Jessica. I tried to hide sad stuff like that from her in the past. And she had spoken to me about how important it was to know the sad stuff too, because it's reality. And she doesn't want to find out, a year later, 6 months later, that someone who she's thinking of had passed already and wasn't able to think at that time of the person. So she felt it was important to know also the real world and what's going on. So I had to tell her that Vinny had passed, and Vinny was more special than to us, even though all the children are so special, because he was a redhead also. And so we always said that they could be brothers and sisters because they had so many similarities. And so we talked about how it was just a fluke thing that happened and that he just died out of the blue. And we talk about it. We talk about how scary it is that we don't know what tomorrow will be like. And we know that as long as we're doing the best we can and making sure that we're happy, then, that's what life is for, is to be happy and respectful and love, and we're doing all the things that we're supposed to do. And so if, God forbid, tomorrow doesn't come for Rachel, we can say that she had a good life. We, of course, don't want that to happen. And I'm planning on retiring with her, and she's gonna, we're gonna share the same nursing home and, go from there. But we can't plan any other way, but go from there. Jessica has asked, we were driving by a nursing home, and Jessica had asked me, when you and Daddy are old and you die, will I have to take care of Rachel? And I pulled the car over, and I parked, and I turned to her, and I said, you'll never have to take care of Rachel. If you want to, you're welcome to. But your job is to live your life, and we will never make you have to take care of Rachel. And she's like, okay, and I was able to keep going. She never asked me that question again. She, now she plans, I don't know if it's still true, but she plans on being a successful scientist and being able to buy a bed and breakfast for Rachel and I to work and live in, and therefore Rachel can stay with us and I can cook breakfast and take care of the people. So, she's always planning on how to include us in her life. So I don't know if that's a typical teenager plan, but it's my kid's plan. Is it so true?
Yeah.
Okay. Phew. So one of the questions was, what would Rachel say to Jessica if she could speak? I think she would say how proud she is to have Jessica. She really enjoys there are times when Rachel will whine and I can't figure out why and comfort her. I'll always ask Jessica why, and Jessica always comes up with an answer that soothes Rachel. So I think they have a bond with themselves that they can really be there for each other.